Huddle Up Podcast. We are back. It is the first official off-season episode this year, the year 2024, and we've taken, a month and a half away from the show, so we want to welcome everybody back, and don't adjust your screens if you're watching on YouTube. Yes, there is 6 of us. We did find a way to work the entire panel into this one, and I mean, I think it's probably just most appropriate given that this offseason so far has been absolutely insane. We've had a lot of twists and turns, retirements, free agent signings, trades. We'll evaluate some of the best, some of the worst. If you can guess by my kind of silent protest by not wearing any Jerry branded apparel, then you can guess who has the worst.
Aren't you all in on this podcast, Jim?
Yeah. I'm about as all in on losing weight as Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are in on winning. So that tells you how far that's going. But let's go around the room. Let's introduce everybody, remind everyone who everybody is, and then we will dive in. So Ernest, DJ, Christian, how we doing?
I'm doing well. By the way, Jim, is that the new theme music for the show now going forward?
It is. Thank you for paying attention.
All right. Not bad.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Sometimes. Barely.
Don't get too bushy here. We don't do that on this podcast. We don't do that.
Fuck you, buddy.
There you go.
Mikey,
K,
how we doing?
K. Inside joke. Sorry.
I really wish that you had the Rock soundbite for this fucking guy, because if so, that would be the fucking one.
No,
it is there. Isn't it there?
No, well,
You fucker.
EJ has no outside.
Shut up,
bitch. Thank you.
That one works.
Off is the direction that you can fuck.
Actually, I should probably add that one.
Yeah, we're back. We're going to talk about some good stuff. We're talking about some bad stuff. We're going to talk about how Kyle is very happy because Aaron Charles Donald will not have to be trying to wreck his offensive line anymore. So
Yeah, some big retirements. We'll get to those. Actually, we'll probably get to those first here in a minute. But Matt, welcome in. How we doing?
Doing well. It's been a busy off season for the Eagles, so looking forward to talking about that.
What's that like? Is it nice?
I remember.
Nice. I wouldn't know. Student of the game, Kyle Nash. How we doing?
You know, if EJ didn't bring up the new theme music, I would have brought up the fact that I had to look down to make sure both my feet were still on the ground. That experience made me feel like I was getting beamed up when I'm used to, the autumn thunder of previous. And I was like, wow.
What's happening?
But no, it's cool. I appreciate it. I mean, a lot of the theme music here on the Huddle Up Inc. network is pretty dang solid. And listen, I happen to be an insider, air quotes, or at least cover closely with the Jaguar Report on one of the wildest teams in movement. I can tell you, Jim, what it's like is to actually check your phone and see things happen and not be bored and disappointed in what you're doing there.
Yeah, I sadly wouldn't know what that was like. EJ, I'm going to retroactively say this.
Off is the direction you can fuck.
And first time, long time, Shawn, welcome back. My brother Shawn.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been just enjoying it down here in sunny Tampa Bay, I guess. But we're back on. I mean, the fact that my team's making moves, your team's not making. The fact that I will be happy to revel in the fact that Jerry Jones has made less steps towards improving the franchise than you or I have towards a 5K. So we're very pleased to see that, and we're just excited to be here.
What do you mean 6 people are here though, Jim? I see an evil twin and then the other 5 of us. Like, is that really 6 people? I'm confused now.
Somewhere between 4 and 6. I think with the weight balance, it's equal to 6.
Well, we had to send one of the twins to Florida to be closer to you jackasses.
Yeah, and
things are on the level down here.
I think I sweat a little bit more, so that's why we sent him to the hot state. So
the skosh.
I think that's how it works. All right, we'll start talking about retirements. There's been a number of them this off season. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, and if you're over there, make sure you give us a subscribe. Hit the subscribe button while you are there. You can see all of them, but I think probably the most The most notable, two of them from part of the panel's team, center Jason Kelsey and defensive tackle Fletcher Cox, both calling it a career. And of course, as I think Mikey said it, Aaron Donald calling it a career in Los Angeles. And then you can see some of the other ones there. Of course, for mine and EJ's Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch calls it a career. Yeah, not very surprising on that one, given his neck injury history. But when you're talking about the big three here, guys, with Kelsey, Cox, and Donald. And Shawn, I guess I'll start with you since you're back on here for the first time in a while. Which of these the big three do you think is going to have the biggest impact on their team by subtraction?
Well, I mean, I'd love to sit here and say it's Jason Kelsey, and I think for me it's really down to, obviously a big two on here. I think from like a leadership / energy level standpoint, Kelsey's probably the biggest loss on that list. And I think if I was going from like team retirements, obviously the Eagles having two on that list on both sides of the line of scrimmage, I think for a team, the Eagles clearly have the bigger loss. But if you're going individual player and notable retirement, I don't think anyone. I mean, obviously, some of you will choose to argue. But I think Aaron Donald's clearly the choice here. Aaron Donald, with the number of sacks he's contributed from that defensive tackle position, and just the fear and like the change of strategy that he forces offenses to do, I would say for an individual player, that's clearly the most meaningful retirement. Though I will say Kelsey on that list, I got to give him props. 5 games against Aaron Donald, 0 sacks given. So maybe it's closer than people think, but I got to give it to Aaron Donald.
All right, Kyle, how about you?
Yeah, listen, if Shawn had come out and dropped Jason Kelsey on me, I would not have argued that either. Listen, it's a sad day for the NFL trenches. There's a whole lot of talent leaving the field there with those two, as well as Cox and Vander Esch, being no more with their NFL careers. But yeah, but let me set the picture. Has anybody else that you've heard audio of, granted the social media age helps, but like when you have a signature clip of a quarterback going, "Oh God," when you get free through an offensive line, that should tell you every damn
Never gets old
to know. All right. I mean, both guys in Kelsey and
I don't have that one. I'll have the
Oh my God.
yeah, we'll work on it. I'll send you a clip if I can find it there, Jim. But the punchline is, "Oh God," bah! Like that being a thing. Listen, both Aaron Charlie Donald and Jason Daniel Kelsey are first ballot Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion. But if I had to choose one of them to get first ballot, it would be Donald over Kelsey. Don't worry, Jason, you'd make it in eventually.
are they going to hold, depending when Travis retires, are they going to hold Jason? Like if he plays one more year and then retires, they're just going to hold Jason's first ballot. Just, got lost in the mail, son of a bitch. So
No.
Induct them both together.
I thought there was a legitimate chance that Travis was going to hang him up like early to go focus on the relationship and to like time it with Jason. I thought there was a legitimate chance that could happen. Obviously it didn't, but I thought that would have been super cool.
They would have thought about it, Jim, but they're going to want to present for one another. That's why Travis had to play one more year.
That's a smart play.
That's a
smart. So Jason first, and then I like that. I like that a lot. Kyle, you already went. I'm sorry. Matt, the same question to you. Are you on team
I'll try
I guess really the question is, are you on team Donald or are you on team Kelsey? We know EJ will be on team Cox, but
usually is.
I'm sorry.
allegedly.
Way out of line. Way out of line.
Yeah, I think that we've kind of have that easy answer between the two. So as a fan of, what he's done for the team, as a fan of the team itself, it's easy for me to lean Jason Kelsey on this, and like Shawn alluded to, the leadership and the voice you're losing in the locker room is almost on par. I didn't make my decision yet. Settle down, Michigan fan. So it wasn't just kind of the on-field stuff, but the locker room stuff as well. But to the point of the two that have said it before me, Aaron Donald's impact on the field has been immediate. It's been that way since he was in college. So if we're asking the bigger player that is lost in this, I would agree that it's Aaron Donald.
Very good. Mikey, same thing?
I brought up Aaron Donald. My pick will be Aaron Donald. He is the exact reason why the Cincinnati Bengals do not have a Super Bowl still. The fourth down play where he,
and the Bengals.
Well, I mean, or it could be the fact that he single-handedly ripped through two offensive linemen and basically choked Joe Burrow into submission with Jamar Chase running down the sideline wide the fuck open.
But explain
if you want to talk semantics.
Explain to me why he's not the MVP of that game again. Anyways, I digress.
Buddy, I don't know. Me and you have had this conversation. I will also say that I think Aaron Donald, and I get it, and you guys, the Philadelphia fans, I love Jason Kelsey. Fletcher Cox is a great defensive player, but that Rams defense on a whole just got increasingly worse because now those DNs have to do more. Those tackles that have to fill that void of Aaron Donald, it's not going to be good for that defense, which means that offense is going to have to score a shitload of more points this year. I want to also give a special shout out to Matthew Slater, like the special team specialist of the New England Patriots, playing 18 years. The amount of love and respect that he had in the final week of the regular season with all those guys, prior to the game, wearing the shirts and the hoodies and all that stuff. I mean, for a guy who didn't play a pivotal role in a Tom Brady level or a Randy Moss level for the Patriots and the Patriot way, if there's a guy who really embodied the Patriot way, it really felt like it was Matthew Slater.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give you that. I heard a discussion on sports radio down here where the guys down here love him. The one guy's from the Boston area, and they were talking about like could he potentially be a Hall of Famer? And they all wound up settling on when it gets past all the ballots and it gets to the Veterans Committee and they get a chance to kind of put him in silently. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a good chance that I'm with him. I think there's a really good chance he winds up there because he's not as flashy as a Devin Hester getting in as a special teamer, but you're going to start to see more and more special teamers in, and I think there's a good chance at that point he gets in.
Yeah, it's like 18 years though. Stunned.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
It's insane.
EJ,
as the lone Cowboy fan in this panel, I don't appreciate disrespect for Mr. Van Der Esch, honestly. I don't appreciate it.
You heard it here first, folks.
I told y'all. No, I'm just joking. Dude,
I'm going to disrespect him for leaving that franchise.
Jim, you're going to hate this. I don't give a fuck. It's really a 1A, 1B between both Donald and Kelsey. Sorry. But different reasons, though. Different reasons, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Kelsey's leadership, obviously, huge, keeping that lock them together. But on the field, I mean, obviously, Aaron Donald, 10 years in the NFL, 10 Pro Bowls. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, he. I mean, when your team tweets out the retirement announcement and the graphic just says "quarterbacks rejoice," I mean, I think that tells you, that it's that simple. That on the field, I mean, even 10 years in to still be at that level, it's insane. It is really close, man. Because I mean, I'm not I'm not an Eagles fan, but
you're not.
No, EJ, I'm not like you. So that, but being obviously from this area, having friends and family that are Eagles fans, and seeing the fame and that Jason Kelsey has come into between the documentary and then the podcast and all of that, if you would have told me a couple years ago that I'd watch like a Philadelphia Eagles player's 48-minute retirement speech and like me get choked up about it, like that tells you how important that guy is to the team's room. Not taking away what he does on the field and what he's been on the field for them. It's going to be really close. I think Aaron Donald does get the edge when you're talking about the player that's going to have the impact the most, because like there maybe have been points where Jason wasn't at his best, because like I think he was even thinking about retirement for a couple of seasons. So like he wasn't, even though he was one of the best centers in the game this past season, he's arguably the best the game has ever seen. But I think Aaron Donald was just on a level even this year that I think was borderline untouchable. I mean the I jokingly say the Vander Esch loss is huge for Dallas because they like don't have a linebacker, like literally any of them.
Well, and to that point, have you guys seen the stat as far as not just like, I mean, obviously the sacks and like the hit on Joe Burrow and the like
sorry,
Mike, the panicked audio. Oh God, but like the number of times that Aaron Donald has been double teamed. Have you looked that up?
Oh, I've heard that number. It's stupid.
The stats, according to Fowler, this is Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. In the last 6 seasons, Aaron Donald has been double teamed 1,797 times.
Damn.
Fucking insane.
Which is 152 more than any other player in the league.
God.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that includes like double teaming wide receivers and stuff. Like it's like anytime 2 players are on one at any point on the field, that's an insane amount.
And he's still made a Pro Bowl every year.
When you talk about impact, well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and to your Vander Esch point, I was going to make the same chime in as far as the one thing that like helped me lean towards Kelsey versus Donald is the Eagles have more depth behind Kelsey. And with Juergens coming in behind him, that I think it's less of a hit to the offensive line than the loss of Aaron Donald is to the defensive line of the Rams.
You got to remember with Kelsey, like he even mentioned it on the New Heights podcast, talking to his brother about it, Travis, that in 2016 he had a regression after his sports hernia surgery, and he had to relearn how to do the sport. Now, it's part of what got him to where he was, but there's no regression in Aaron Charlet Donald. That did not happen here.
Well, and it makes sense. I mean, when they drafted Juergens a few years ago, Kelsey helped pick him. Like Kelsey was already like, look, I'm on my way out.
Right.
Like, let's get a replacement. This is your guy.
They filmed
the guy,
team guy, team guy.
And he knew it was coming.
You talk about impactful defensive players all the time. Loris Tales linebacker, Reggie White's defensive end. I mean, Donald's, greatest DT all the time, right? Who's more impactful to him? Impact.
I mean, it's got. I don't know.
The numbers are fucking.
I was trying to think of one, and I'm like, the fridge wasn't really.
Cortez Kennedy was an end or a
Will
tackle.
Fork is like questionably close.
Yeah,
Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
I guess Warren Sapp would count, right?
I'd say Donald Sapp.
Sue, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
That's
Sapp played on some really, really good teams, though.
Sapp
Donald did not.
But like, I think if Sue wouldn't have played a couple seasons here towards the end where he wasn't as impactful, because like Donald just didn't get to that point. Like he walked away.
For scale, you would match the first 10 years, right? So
10 years, 10 Pro Bowls.
And even with Sue, he wasn't.
White, I'll tell you.
He wasn't the monster he wasn't early in his career. But I mean, Shawn, he changed that run defense the first game he played and really turned that around. So he still did showcase the skill he had, just not at elite level.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it just a lot of big names.
Aaron Donald's one of the main reasons no one's saying Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, precisely.
Unfortunately for Fletcher Cox, his career just matched Aaron Donald's and was just like, I'm up there.
Well, I know they were joking on a couple of the just like regular radio stations and like TV stations up here that like Jason Kelsey had like the big long speech. Is somebody echoing or all right? I think but Fletcher Cox that kind of just like silently retires, like, man, it's and I think it's the tale of like two different guys as well, but it's like I think some people joke it's like maybe you should have like done that next year, just play one more year just to not like lose your retirement in the aura of
Fletcher's silent walk may have had more to do with Kelsey than it. Like, I mean, I think like knowing that he probably had a inkling Kelsey was going to and was like, oh, good, I can just slip out.
Like, this is perfect. I can just
right. want to go, what happened? And then they'll be like, oh, Kelsey. And then just be like, oh, yeah, that other guy also left.
he's also like, everybody shows up next year. It's like, where's Fletcher at?
Yeah, Fletcher.
Did he retire? Oh, I guess he retired too.
I mean, use the word impact too. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the impact of Kelsey bringing attention to the position, right? Like even D tackles, as little attention as they get, they have stats they can be tracked with. Other than maybe John Madden, going boom with the teleprompter, who has brought more attention to the center position, like covering a Super Bowl that he was in. No other offensive lineman gets one of the featured spots for media to find. Now, granted, it's not necessarily because of his play. It's, to surrounding things with his podcast and things like that. And listen, that's a good show too. When you're done with this, listen to that, but always listen to us first because we're awesome. But, and then third, you can listen to Joel Klatt. But the punchline.
Rightly so.
Oh, man. But just the fact that he not only brings attention to that position, but being an actual human as well, I think is a big deal too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's transition to free agent signings. This has probably been the most crazy portion. Again, if you're on the YouTube channel, and we certainly do recommend.
Subscribe.
We do recommend subscribing over there for sure. There's been a lot of movement at a lot of positions. I highlighted a couple here on our end, and we're talking about. We'll start kind of which is best, and then we'll do maybe which is worst or which is most confusing or something. The ones I specifically highlighted out of this: Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, Russell Wilson to the Steelers. Saquon Barkley to Philadelphia, Derrick Henry to Baltimore, Josh Jacobs to Green Bay, Calvin Ridley to Tennessee, and Tyron Smith to the Jets. EJ, I'll start with you. Which out of those that I highlighted, or if there's another one that you think is most impactful, what's the best free agent signing in the early NFL year so far?
So a lot of folks are going to think I'm going to say Saquon to the Eagles, but that was never really a need for them. It was a great signing for the Eagles, but was never a need. I think the Kirk Cousins to Atlanta is probably the best one because at the very least, in that shitty division, that moves needle. Because to me, if they had even a competent quarterback last year, they win that division. That's how bad it was. Kirk Cousins at the very least is competent.
Well, and a coach.
We're not sitting there saying that the Falcons are even a contender, right? But
EJ, you have him replacing the number one seed in the NFL, the Saints.
They let me down, buddy. No, but
Falcon season is over. That's what
if this team got 7 wins back-to-back years with Desmond Ridder's quarterback, Kirk Cousins could get at least 9?
Well, and Tyler
in that division, right? With at least 9 in that division. So yeah, that one moves the needle more than anything else, in my opinion.
All right, Mikey B, what's the best free agent signing so far this offseason?
Well, I can't sit here and in good soul and conscience agree with Ernest EJ Christian on an episode of this show, because the answer would have been my good friend Mr. Coupons cashing in some of those coupons to go play in hot Atlanta and eat Vortex burgers.
Best agent in sports.
Yes.
By far.
I'm actually going to go out. The best free agent signing, and this is going to sound really weird, it's Hollywood Brown going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Because, yes, a lot of people go,
insane.
I do. A lot of people said that T. Higgins was going to end up as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, or Calvin Ridley, or any other wide receiver with a pulse that would give them a better chance than Marquez Valdez-Scantling or the ghost of Mecole Hardman or anybody else that ever played in Kansas City. Hollywood had a good year last year between the alien, the midget, and anybody else who played quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals last year. And now he's going to go play with the best quarterback in football. Exactly. I thought it was a great addition. I think he's going to help them.
Wilson.
I can't wait to watch Pittsburgh trot that fucker out there twice a year. Can't wait. But I think the Hollywood Brown is a move that Kansas City had to make, especially if they're looking at this as potentially the final year of Travis Kelce, some other guys on the defense. If this is the immediate window being on the back end of it, going and getting a guy like Hollywood to help that offense, I think is a big get for them.
All right, very good, Matt.
For me, it was the Derrick Henry signing in Baltimore. I think that offense already kind of showcased that they had a good enough O-line to have a very strong run game. So adding someone who admittedly does have a lot of miles on him is still one of the better running backs in the game. I think that just opens up that offense a little bit more. And we can see if they stick to that plan rather than trying to make Lamar throw the ball 100 times in a playoff game. But
I can't wait to watch them lose in the first round again.
Playing with Lamar, it's the first time Derrick Henry's ever been the second best running back on a team.
Wow.
Damn.
Snap.
So as much as I would like to agree with EJ, who said coupons, who's coming off a significant knee injury, I think that overall I would lean more towards Derrick Henry.
All right, very good. Kyle?
I don't see how replacing a quarterback in a division that will eventually be the fodder for the rest of the conference to just eliminate in the first round is moving the needle. That's tough for me. Granted, I know the Bucs won a playoff game, but that was mostly because of Nick Sirianni and the Eagles downtrending. No offense, gentlemen. But some answers here are good. No, it's not Hollywood Brown. Simply
yes, it is.
He's not the best offseason move the Chiefs have made. Chris Jones extending is actually the best offseason.
He was never a free agent.
But that's not the extension. Is just shut the fuck up a minute, Bern. I got this. All right. So
you're Jim laughing.
That was the actual point I was making. Is it's not an extension, or excuse me, it's not a free agency move. It's only an extension. But as I said, it's the best offseason move the Chiefs made. And frankly, as far as things that are actual super upgrades, Eric Armstead to the Jags is easily the biggest increase in a single position. Derrick Henry's not a bad answer. I can't go with that simply because it's dependent on what way. The Niners are losing something. Anyway.
Mark. There we go.
My wife is from New Orleans. What are you talking about? Anyways, you can keep trying. It's adorable. You look like EJ. Anyways.
Wait, adorable? Yeah, thanks.
New Orleans is EJ's second favorite team.
Fuck no. I hate to say it.
That's for sure.
My wife's a Saints fan. Hell no.
Now, we've lost track of EJ's second favorite team many a time.
Yeah.
Oh, so 3 years. That's why you picked him to get the fucking first seed last year. Your wife did it.
I was trying. Yeah,
that makes sense.
The method of my madness. There you go.
That being said, gentlemen, to not account for Josh Allen on one side having a franchise record-breaking year in sacks, with Trayvon Walker getting his first double-digit season in sacks on the other side, to then add the force that is Eric Armstead in the middle to that grouping is something absolutely special, at least in the numbers with the Titans O-line such that it is, with some of the interior line struggles that the Texans and Colts have been having other than with Quentin Nelson. it is a very interesting addition, and frankly, the biggest upgrade the Jags have made in this offseason. And it could be argued as the biggest upgrade at a particular position in the league.
I was like to state real quick that I left that answer for Kyle, because Chris Jones was my original answer, but no, I know Kyle was so hung up on Chris Jones being the best signing of the offseason even like weeks ago. So, good for you, buddy.
It's adorable.
No.
Shawn, same question to you.
God, I hate what I'm about to say.
Saquon.
I agree with EJ.
No.
Suck it, everybody.
I mean, here's the thing: Saquon to the Eagles. Like, I'm super excited about it. I think if Swift had been willing to accept a lesser deal, it would not even be a situation. I think they offered Swift low money because they knew if they were going to pay him what the Bears paid him, that they may as well just. They knew there was mutual interest with Saquon, that there was like something they could work on, and I think that they. When Swift was like, well, I want big money, they were like, well, we're just going to get a guy that pass blocks and
just
squats a car. And the tush push has been upgraded. We're going to run it on 4th and 3 now because the combined squat of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley is
good job,
with Kelce retiring, can it really be upgraded?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, Juergens, I like Juergens. We'll discuss that later. But to your point that the biggest upgrade is Armstead, I would argue, and I made fun of Russell Wilson a few minutes ago, I would argue that Russell Wilson / I know we're going to get to some trades later, / the trade for Justin Fields would, in my opinion, the quarterback room of the Pittsburgh Steelers is by far the largest improved spot in the league. But we'll talk about that after we talk about trades. But Kirk Cousins, I'm pretty much on board with everything EJ said. Now this obviously, like Matt alluded to, is he's coming off an injury, but I'm also on the belief that medical science is pretty much just building cyborgs out of athletes. So
you're right.
I mean, even 10 years ago, I watching McNabb tear, parts of his leg and like other guys, like the fact that these guys, used to miss like more than a year for similar injuries, and now are, what Aaron Rodgers just drinks some kind of herbal tea. And
he allegedly tore his Achilles, right, and was throwing in a couple of months.
And Aaron Rodgers is older. Like Kirk Cousins is motivated. Man. Kirk Cousins wants to win. Kirk Cousins, I think, felt slighted by Minnesota, so he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I think any player with a chip on his shoulder is someone to bet on. And I think Kirk Cousins will bring out the talent that is on the offense of that Atlanta Falcons team. And I think that by the time it's said and done at the end of the year, Kyle and I might both be wrong. And we could say, wow, Kirk Cousins was by far the biggest improvement of any position in the NFL.
Yeah, it's combination of huge upgrade at the position, ton of talent on that team. Now you do have the question mark with a first-year head coach. So there's a little bit of concern there, but you're in a bad division where
like you just said, 9 games probably gets
first.
Yeah, but not his first gig though.
If you can outdo Baker Mayfield in Tampa, you should win that division. So I think that's a huge upgrade. But to me, there's been a lot of big moves. But how can you overlook Eric Kendricks to the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, when you look at a highlight where the guy who was sacking Jeff Hostetler, it's an amazing situation that the only fucking move that a team makes is that one. No. I like, to me, I think Cousins is a great one. Barkley's a great one. Henry's a great one. But I actually think that Russell Wilson to the Steelers as just an isolated move is a great move. You're talking about a Steelers team who had a combination of what? Small Hands Pickett, fucking
Mason Rudolph,
Trubisky or whatever the hell his name is. Had one of the worst quarterback rooms.
Three Stooges.
A terrible offensive coordinator, and that team went 10-7. in
how
a
many
very
touchdowns did
difficult
they
division.
But hey, fire Mike Tomlin though. Go right ahead. I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
He okayed those guys.
Fucking
all right,
morons. No,
No,
the mistake he made was that. Yeah, but
again,
don't get me started on Mike.
do I think Mike Tomlin should have been fired? No. Do I understand Steelers fans' frustration? Absolutely. And if you can't understand Steelers fans' frustration, you're lying to yourself.
I can't understand Mike Tomlin.
I can understand how trouble that franchise would be in without him. That shit I can understand.
Navigating the fucking Big Ben,
and that's
navigating
fine. Again, he won a Super Bowl in year 2. They haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. Like, I get that management decisions have not been great, but when you're looking at a coach who is not getting it done when it matters most, that's where fans, again, short for the fanatic, will get frustrated. And if you can't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you.
Paging Jets fans, I haven't even been to the fucking playoffs in over a decade. But okay. Like,
am I allowed to give my
in a parity-driven league? Seriously, we're having that conversation.
The stat I was looking for the Steelers QB room last year in the 2023 season, the combination of Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph combined for 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Damn,
10 wins though.
But again, to EJ,
in that division too.
To your point, Andy Reid was great in Philadelphia, but
in a combined 3,400
they didn't get over that hump, right? Like what the heck? Every coach has a shelf life, no matter how good they are.
Jim,
every coach has a shelf life.
Jim, yes, but Andy Reid went 4-12 in his final year in Philadelphia. That's a big story. What's about 10-7? Big difference, massive difference.
Am I allowed to give my real answer now?
Oh,
fine. I'm okay.
I thought you guys
just say you agree with me.
No, I thought you guys were actually gonna use my pick, so I went with somebody off the beaten path. It's Josh Jacobs going to Green Bay.
I love that move too. For the
stop. It is a great sign.
It's a great move, actually. Yeah.
What do you mean stop? Those guys couldn't keep A.J. Dillon or goddamn Aaron Jones healthy.
Okay,
all Josh Jacobs does is
A.J. Dillon,
healthy.
Okay, man's done nothing.
Hold on. He's done nothing. You're right. Guess what? Aaron Jones hasn't been healthy the last 2 years. What do? Made the playoffs with Jordan Love. They just got fucking better with a guy who doesn't get
Josh
hurt.
Jacobs stays healthy also. Keep that in mind. But I agree with you. I think all of except maybe Calvin Ridley, which is super questionable. On that main list that James did, I thought that that belonged in a list of moves that made teams way better. But, like, it's not – A.J. Dillon, I had to get upset about A.J. Dillon. The man who, like you said, Aaron Jones can't stay healthy. A.J. Dillon's had every opportunity in the world to be like, I deserve at least a timeshare. And then they give him the ball, and they're like, no.
No, never mind. Hard pass. But also to my point about Russell Wilson is you look at the Broncos and how awful
the Denver Broncos,
that roster, that coaching situation was. That they still won 8 games. Like they were 2 games off the last wild card spot pace. And that's with a room and a team. Dumb. And that's with a coaching staff that reportedly hated Russell Wilson's guts because Sean Payton, shocking to some people, somehow is an asshole.
Fuck Sean Payton.
So I think it is a huge upgrade, and then obviously when we talk about the trade situations, that room as a whole has gotten a huge upgrade. But I also think for Russell Wilson, I mean, this really is kind of your last shot, man. Like you're obviously on the back end of your career. The Denver situation for multiple reasons did not go as planned. So now you have a chance to rewrite the legacy because right, wrong, or indifferent. And we've had the discussion on this show many times about what Russell Wilson is, who he is, do teammates love him or not, and all of that. And he has a chance to prove some people, haters or whatever, depending on your side of the argument, he has a chance to prove a lot of people right, or he has a chance to prove a lot of people wrong here in Pittsburgh. So I think it's a great move.
He's certainly in a great situation. I'll tell you that.
Is there any move? And we'll kind of rapid fire these. Shawn, we'll start with you. Is there any free agent signing that is like that was like worst or like most confusing? Like why there? Why did that team sign this guy? But we're going a little more rapid fire on these.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any that really stood out as like wild, except the Cowboys not signing anyone. But Calvin Ridley's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Because there's like a mystery bet on an internet gambling site of $10 million on him signing with the Titans the morning that he signed. I've heard that rumor on multiple sources, and I have no way to disprove it. So I feel like he just made himself an extra signing bonus, and good for Calvin Ridley getting out there.
Is he like the guy that made the bet about the streaker at the Super Bowl, and then
it was essentially the same bet? It was just because the Titans were one of the highest odds, I guess, on the site of like teams that could sign Calvin Ridley, and he was like, "That's the one. That's where I'm going. That's going to help me."
All right, Kyle.
Somebody mentioned earlier that Calvin Ridley to the Chiefs would have been interesting, and I'm telling you it would be impossible because Calvin Ridley was looking for a place with no state tax. By the way, could be a way I landed the bet as well. Listen, as far as worst move goes, it's tough for me to really pinpoint something that I looked at it and I was like, this is a terrible move. But I don't think Saquon was a great acquisition by the Eagles. I'll be honest. I'm not here to say that I hate it. I'm not here to say I don't understand it. I'm here to say I don't think it'll materialize into anything. It's a state, and I'm on this podcast. I'm on record saying I have questions about Sirianni's maturity as a coach. And moreover, with as vanilla as the run game was, where they just refused to put Hurts under center and have him hand off the ball from that point, is just limiting to a running back. So unless they change that approach and just have a better coaching approach to what they're doing with Saquon, I don't think Saquon's going to really advance the offense very much. The Eagles are going to continue to decline and be disappointing. And, oh, by the way, you just wasted a bunch of money, air quotes, in comparison to what you could have gotten Swift for. And the capital you gave up in making that acquisition, by the way, is also a thing. Now, granted, I'm not saying the move itself is bad. As I said, I just don't know that the coaching in the room is going to be in a position to handle it. Just like people seem to believe that Josh Freeman has suddenly figured out how to coach quarterbacks and will make something out of coupons. I just don't live there yet.
That's fair. Matt?
Yeah, aside from the Cowboys not signing anyone, I would say the Austin Eckler to Washington move kind of confused me.
That's a good choice.
Just because I don't know where Washington really is. And I think that given Eckler's injury history too, another
I'm not
concern.
sure Eckler knows where he is.
Right. I think that's just kind of one of those things where you have the money and that's great. And it was a splashy move for the fans, but overall I was just confused as to the motive for both of them.
Well, at least they have a playing service in Washington.
I thought it was way more confusing for Eckler than it was.
At least there's a playing service in Washington that isn't known for hurting people's legs. So that's a good thing for Eckler. Mikey B, worst free agent signing.
Eckler was going to be one that I was going to mention. I don't necessarily know that I love Uncle Rico being the starting quarterback in Las Vegas.
Oh, he's going to be great in
Vegas. I mean, the social media clips are going to be great in Vegas. I don't know about him playing great in Las Vegas. Rookie head coach, aside from his interim state to end the season last year, losing Josh Jacobs, I thought they would have went a little bit different in the quarterback position. Maybe this means that they are definitely going to draft somebody like a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix in the second or third round to put with Uncle Rico. But I just don't think he's a fit from what they're going to attempt to do in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's who I want motivating my young first-round pick. Uncle
Rico. I'll throw it clear over that damn spaceship over there.
Don't question the mustache.
You mean the stadium, Gardner?
I mean,
that
he's
mustache helped prove my Colts point correct.
I was saying, like the guys, like, I mean, he's proven that anybody with a mustache has a fighting chance in the National Football League.
There you go.
So
See,
that's a great, that's a great motivator. EJ, worst free agent signing.
I mean, Calvin Ridley is not necessarily the signing itself, just the money, a lot of fucking money. But I guess Tennessee has a lot of money to throw around, so I'm not gonna criticize that. But it's a lot of money for.
Ridley will definitely drop fewer passes, as most of Will Levis's throws will be intercepted.
But really,
I mean, they wasted a ton of money on Tony Pollard's useless.
That one too. Also, I didn't make it.
I don't know the comparison of the AJ Brown contract that they refused to pay versus what they gave Calvin Ridley and how close it is just astounding.
It's an elevated salary cap. I mean
that's fair as well.
I know why fans are bitching on the surface and it's bad, but yeah, there's some apples and oranges there, y'all.
Sure.
My worst is probably Eric Kendricks to the Dallas Cowboys. No,
Jim, you okay? You okay, Jim?
I can't say that because he's literally the only linebacker that.
I was gonna say it's the best and worst Cowboys signing.
Yeah,
the Eagles signed Devin White. Did you see that?
It literally is. I think kind of in a similar mode to Matt's worst is Zach Ertz to Washington. Like I don't know if it's a matter of like were they the only team that was calling
probably
at this point? You know, and does he just
it was weird.
Like just doesn't want to like call it quits. But again, when I look at a guy who's had some injury history and I get like Washington is trying to restructure and rebuild, and I guess we'll see what
Maybe
they
it's
do.
the only team with a game in Philadelphia.
Well, that's true.
He gets like the homecoming, the like, hey. Philly,
well, yeah, because I mean the
you?
Giants aren't calling him, and Dallas isn't calling him. So, yeah, that one maybe the worst just because it's confusing and
another one of those both sides. It makes no sense. Like Ertz was released from the Cardinals to go to a contender.
Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage.
Does he know Drake May's dad?
It's a sabotage.
Does he know Drake May's father? Like, is he like, hey, I need you to go catch some passes for my kid?
He may not be that dude though, because the Vikings and Washington are both, and the Giants possibly too, are in on the JJ McCarthy sweepstakes. That is just getting sillier by the day. But
the Giants have future Hall of Famer Danny Dimes. Why are they?
That's the damn.
Shut up, Matt.
The Giants chose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley and then lost him to a division rival. That's why I didn't pick.
Yeah, when you talk about worst offseason moves, well, we'll talk about what team had the best and worst so far. So maybe the Giants will. Luckily for the Giants, there's another team in their division that's had a worse offseason. Otherwise,
it's true.
Well, you're very critical of the Mike Williams sign today, Jim.
Here's the thing, like I think he's an upgrade in the receiver room, but you're playing on a field that has how many body bags adding up on it for the last couple of years as well, and you're adding an injured. I think the Tyron Smith signing is great as long as he stays healthy, but like you're adding a lot of old busted pieces to an already old busted room. So you're just man, like the amount of gambling that the New York
quarterback,
but it's only a 1 year. Right, but it's only a 1 year deal. It's all set in place on top of that. Let's assume he has a injury.
Sure, that's why I didn't put it in my worst. I just like if he stays healthy, sure he's great, but I don't believe we're a fucking.
If he's healthy, that's a massive thing for the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean,
tell me the last time Mike Williams was healthy for a full season.
Never. Not even in college.
I was gonna say USC. Is it
literally never?
You can't.
The limit does not exist. So that's the only. I mean, I just kind of made the joke that now they'll have a broken quarterback and receiver.
My only thing is that it's a 1 year deal. They fucks up whatever. It's 1 year.
It's not a risky sign.
He's trying. They're trying.
Yeah,
it's like let's make this work.
They're trying to make sure that their quarterback doesn't leave to become vice presidential candidate. That's all.
Hurdy's out of it anyway.
Yeah, he probably is.
Allegedly.
I don't fucking care.
You
Vice
president of awesome.
Let's look at some of the trades from the offseason. This was pulled, I guess, before the Fields one actually became official. These the ones listed here on the screen. Again, subscribe on the YouTube channel. But a couple of the ones I highlighted here: Joe Mixon from Cincinnati to Houston for a 2024 7th round pick. Keenan Allen from the Chargers to the Bears for a 2024 4th round. Kyle's favorite quarterback from Washington, at least for now, Sam Howell, and the 2024 4th and 6th round pick from Washington to Seattle for a 2024 3rd and 5th round pick. Desmond Ridder from Atlanta to Arizona for wide receiver Rondale Moore. Kenny Pickett and a 2024 4th round pick from the Steelers to the Eagles for a third. Stop that. 2024 3rd round pick and 2 2025 7th round picks.
I've trademarked that, by the way.
Go ahead. Nobody's buying. And Justin Fields from the Bears to the Steelers for a conditional 2025 5th round pick. So we'll kind of do the best trade so far. Maybe best trade outside of the Justin Fields trade, because I think
right.
I mean, that trade's insane.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
What's the number 2 answer, Shawn? I'll start with you.
Geez, well, that was my answer. Yeah, I mean, Jesus, like the fact that you have now a contingency plan behind Russell Wilson is just maddening. But like I did find it hilarious when they brought in Russell Wilson that like shortly after they're like, oh, by the way, your best receiver's gone down. We traded him to the worst team in the league. So, which is good for the Panthers, good for them. Yeah, I mean, I guess as far as like other trades, I mean, the best one, I mean, I don't know, Joe Mixon to Houston is good for both parties. I mean, obviously, the Bengals had moved on, and there was a lot of question, cap casualty, and like he knew coming into the offseason that it could get ugly. So for them, I think it worked out great for all parties involved. The Bengals were able to save some money. The Mixon was able to find a new home, and it's a home that frankly could use him. And I think he's going to get used often, and I think he's going to get used well. And it's a team that has shown they're not willing to, that they're very willing to just throw the ball. So it's not like teams get to hone in on him. And he just came off a down year where he didn't have, Joe Burrow behind him or in front of him, and he didn't have the weapons at the Bengals' disposal. So I think he just kind of is caught in a weird time where he was aging at a time where the team was in trouble. And, hopefully this like surging Texans team is kind of a chance to rebolster his career.
Yeah, Kyle, same question.
No, hey, listen. If Justin Fields is the correct answer, the second best correct answer was also Joe Mixon. I think that's definitely on target there, as Shawn puts it as well. Another trade that really I kind of like the look of, even though, listen, I get that the player in question has dealt with his own share of injuries. But he has a history of bringing along rookie guys in the past to help make Justin Herbert look good, competing hard with Patrick Mahomes II in his first start. I like Keenan Allen to the Bears. I like him being there to support whoever it is they decide to draft at quarterback, obviously, presumably Caleb Williams. But that just that they're trying to do something to continue the build after they've parted ways with just
some of that might be to build DJ Moore. I feel like
that's
like at least in a leadership role, I feel like he's just kind of has lacked that kind of side, and I think Keenan Allen could help him a lot.
And it's not just the receiver room, Shawn. Like that offense, period, is going to be pretty damn young. No, I see where you're going as well with that, and moreover, I would make this point too. By the way, how bad is Carolina's move that like the Bears are like, you know what, we screwed up. Let's just get him out of the building. Here,
right?
You want a 4th or a 6th, whatever. Just take it.
Yeah. Matt.
I think the one I liked the most was Atlanta getting Rondale Moore in exchange for Desmond Ritter.
I was going to say that later. Nice pick.
Just a fantastic return of investment there from a quarterback that you're clearly moving on from. So now Coupons really has no excuses. They put together a pretty impressive offensive talent pool in Atlanta for him to play with.
I don't know. I've been doing too much Lucifer Morningstar on Desmond Ritter to think that's good. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. Not to draft that motherfucker in the first place.
No, that Rondale Moore trade was a great trade for Atlanta. That was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, in a rare, just like straight up player for player trade. Getting any sort of return and adding another piece to an offense that does have weapons. How effectively they'll be used will remain to be seen once we get into the new season. But
I know I'm going to buy in on Kyle Pitts again and be very disappointed.
He's that one guy that like every year it's like, all right, this is the one.
The one guy whose name is actually the Pitts, and everybody's still baffled that it's not working.
Yeah, it's people are going to buy in because they're going to look at it like
it's always the Pitts.
Cousins loves tight end, man. He loves his tight end. This is it. This is the year we've been waiting for. Mikey B, same question to you. Best trade this year?
I'm going to go with one that isn't on the list. It happened, I guess, late last week. Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah.
I like that choice.
That was nice.
For a 2024 fifth and sixth round selection, he signed an extension on March 19th. Right? Yep. For 3 more. The fact that Njoku, they kept it there, they got him. They still have Amari Cooper. They're bringing in another piece of that offense. It's a quiet addition when you have teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh that are dominating. Yes,
that's pretty impressive.
I believe he's still there. And honestly, with it's Russ, it's Fields, so Pittsburgh's getting all this attention, or it's Baltimore getting Derrick Henry, or even Cincinnati releasing or trading Joe Mixon and acquiring Zach Moss. The quiet move of adding a piece like Jerry Jeudy, and I know that he has his own injury problems and things like that, so that is a question mark. But if there's a chance that you're going to take on somebody to be a number 2 and or number 3 wide receiver, I love the fact that he was able to do it. Now it's will Deshaun Watson figure out whatever Deshaun Watson's problem is.
Well, and that's why I can't pick it at the end of the day in that particular case. Listen, you make the point about the Steelers getting all the attention. I'm about ready to ask Jim to hit the clap. Okay, of course they're getting all the attention, and rightly so, as they should be. It's not that I don't like the pick, Byrne. It's just, golly, well, who's throwing the ball again exactly?
Yeah, when you're talking, return on investment of contracts, that Deshaun Watson one may turn out to be one of the worst.
Absolutely, but
it's one of the worst contracts ever offered. But it's not played out yet. So let's
not. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But we're all running to the bank thinking that this Russell Wilson move is phenomenal. I'm not ready to cash in that Russell Wilson. Sure, is he better than the guys they had there? Yeah, but that defense also played out of its mind. I'm not even for sure that Russell Wilson will have that great of a year in Pittsburgh.
And if he doesn't, then they get to fall back on Fields overwhelmingly. And by the way, what did they actually lose in the exchange, Byrne? I think that's the part you're missing. You're making all great football points, but remember, this beast is a business and is humpy bumpy, and that's part of offseason evaluation here, dude.
$1.4 million going to cost them for Russell Wilson. That's the win in itself. That's
pretty sure between the two, it's costing them like
$4
million.
Yeah.
What? Okay, right. Hold on. Let me ask this question. We keep saying 1.4, it's a win. He's going to be the starter. Should Justin Fields be the starter?
I'm not even convinced that he won't be by opening day, honestly.
Yeah.
They've come out and clearly said that Russell Wilson is the starter.
He is right now.
I think going into camp, you have him penciled in as the starter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Supplanted. Hey, you know a guy? Hey, I know a guy. What was it? In Seattle, it was Tavares Jackson. No, wait. It was Matt Flynn. No, wait. They both got supplanted by a young guy. Who is that?
Who?
Russell Carrington fucking Wilson.
Yes.
Hey,
4 names, Kyle.
the full circle. Shut up.
Okay, and besides George Pickens, who's he throwing to? Pat Fryermuth? They got 2 guys.
They draft well.
They're going to be a run-first team in general. I get it. You need Russell to be a game manager. At this point, Fields is going to learn behind him. I get it. But we're sitting here acting like this move is like Pittsburgh to the AFC title game. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
everybody's talking about how Russell Wilson is the win.
That's certainly their ceiling. If things do
go, to be fair, I'm the only person that said that was the best signing.
The impact on the team and the cost is part of evaluating this. But you can have the best signing and still not have enough to compete in the best division in football because you know how good how the fucking AFC North is, my guy. That's the problem.
I'm aware I'm involved in it. What I'm saying is I don't think
by this.
Because I don't think Russell Wilson's addition of on-field play makes them that much better than the fact that they got 4 or 5 wins from fucking Mason Rudolph.
He's not wrong.
No. Did you hear the statistics that I like? My point was never that Russell Wilson was the best signing. What I said was that from where they were in the QB room to the addition of the 2 of him and Fields might be the best positional upgrade that was made. And it's not saying as much about who those 2 are as it is about who their other 3 were. Like they were
Mason Rudolph.
They were
Mason Rudolph who knew that offense.
How many? I didn't even talk about how many games the Steelers won or how their defense was.
Yeah,
or
that
how
was,
good.
That was
like
me.
how good. Nobody talked about how good Najee Harris was last year after like almost getting thrown away. Like he could have easily won comeback player of the year if it weren't for like a guy coming back from the brink of death and then also a guy that actually died. Thank you for getting that joke. But no, both of them, like there was 2 clear people that were going to win that, but like Najee Harris could have been a prime candidate to be up for that because he was going to get thrown away. He was being replaced by his back, and he had a heck of a year in addition to that defense. And I get it. They won despite the quarterback room. So I'm fine with that. The point is, even if Russell Wilson is just not going to piss it away, that's better than they had last year. And Justin Fields, now you have options at a position that you had no options before.
And to your point, Russell Wilson last year was better than anybody in that roster.
Russell Wilson's stats, if you actually look at what he did last year,
as the only person on the panel that actually said that the Russell Wilson signing was the best free agent signing in football. I mean, he had the 4th best completion percentage of his career last year. He had 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. With a team and a particularly a head coach that didn't respect him at all.
He tried to sabotage that team last year.
So that, like, for me, that's why I have him as the best. Like, I'm not scoffing at the addition of Jerry Jeudy.
I think Jerry Judy's a great choice.
To Cleveland
really
Browns.
To Cleveland.
Yeah.
I've been a Deshaun Watson questioner since before he even got to Cleveland. And the minute they made that deal and signed that contract, I'm like, why? Okay. Like I've been questioning that. I've been questioning Deshaun Watson basically from the jump of his NFL career.
And let's be honest, that contract has Deshaun Watson is at no fault for that contract. He was just like, what? Seriously?
Oh no, like if somebody's if an NFL team calls me tomorrow and wants to pay me that much money to play any position, I'm saying yes. That's
he's like, I'm gonna have a lot of legal fees to pay, so sure.
But I think I got the question that gets to the root of what we're thinking and what Byrne would be thinking. Byrne, are the Steelers closer to a playoff berth now than they were last year?
Didn't they make the playoffs last year with shit at the quarterback position?
Right. And then after moving Deontay Johnson, the argument could be made that they weren't, right? That's what you're saying.
Right. That was the weird play. That was the weird.
But it's also, I get it. Russell Wilson only cost $1.4 million. But if you're going to go get a quarterback who's under the age of 27 to be a potential quarterback of your future that costed you potentially a 5th round draft pick, why are we already labeling Russell Wilson as the guy there? Because at this point, the best option, because of how mediocre that offensive line was at points last year and how good that defense was, you would think that you would want the more mobile option there to play quarterback, which is Justin Fields. I don't think that Russell Wilson is the best signing, because I think there's a realistic chance that Russell Wilson may not, except for Jim. I'm labeling the fact that Jim mentioned that he was the best signing. Everybody loves the Russell Wilson signing, is what I'm saying. Again, my problem is that I don't know that Russell Wilson being the, quote, starter on March 19th is the route that they should have taken. Because if he gets hurt or does not start the entire year or gets benched at any duration of this point, I think you have an opportunity to turn the reins over to a guy that cost you a 5th round draft pick and let Russell Wilson mentor him from the sidelines is the route that I would go, because I think that Justin Fields gives them a better chance athletically to make the playoffs in that division.
But that's why the lack of risk is so important.
Also, hold on.
Couldn't do that. Go ahead.
But we're evaluating. The reason I have Russell Wilson to me as my best signing is because we're evaluating the signings to date. We're not evaluating the signings based on what could happen by the time we hit November 14th. So to date, when the Steelers sign a guy for very little and say, this is our starting quarterback, like Russell Wilson's not signing with Pittsburgh if you're not.
Let's not forget that signing resulted in flipping Kenny Pickett for like an upgrade into the 3rd round. Like Correct. That also was part of that signing.
Like, but you're not getting Russell Wilson into your locker room if you're not telling him you're coming into camp as the starter. Like, and I think that's what that means. Like when they say he's the starter, he's coming into camp as quarterback 1. No different than the Browns know who their starting quarterback is coming into camp. The Eagles know who their starting quarterback is coming into camp. The Cowboys know who their starting quarterback is coming into camp, and so on. There's teams that don't. And depending, what the Vikings do in the draft, Sam Darnold probably is not coming into camp as the like definite starter. You know what I mean? So when I'm evaluating the offseason to this point, that's why I have that, because I look at what the Steelers did and a team that's already good as a team, and to me their biggest problem is their offensive coordinator. They fired him halfway through the year. But their biggest problem was that they had 3 bad quarterbacks in that room. And now they have one good one, potentially really good one, potentially great one. And they have a young guy who is, extremely talented that we're figuring out. And I think he is in a much better spot than he was in Chicago. But that's the reason I had it with the way I did, because we're evaluating where we're at right now.
And Mikey, to your point, like you bring up November, it's very real that Fields is starting by then anyway. I don't care. The point keeps being made. Oh, Pittsburgh named him the starting. Okay, great. That to your point, Mikey, that could all change.
Good at options.
I mean, coming into Dak Prescott's rookie year, Tony Romo was the starter. We saw how quick that changed. So yeah, literally anything can happen. But that's
Joe Mixon may come into camp and somebody behind him like outshines him and they hand the ball to somebody. Like I'm just
I think one of those. I think the flexibility, in no disrespect, Brent, I think the flexibility is something you're underselling a little bit too. That's what makes the signing great, not necessarily the player.
I just also maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just not as big a fan of Russell Wilson as everybody else is. Maybe that's what it is. Because I don't
even like Russell Wilson
I don't think that he's a good to great quarterback right now. I think he's a game manager to good quarterback right now. I think.
Right.
Well, no, right. But I'm saying but I think it's game manager to good. I don't think that there's great left in the Russell Wilson tank.
Top 15.
I mean, probably by default, because at this point, I don't necessarily know that I can take. I mean, I'll take Kirk Cousins over him. You won't. I'll take.
I would also take Kirk Cousins over Russell Wilson.
I mean, there's another.
With a busted up ACL, good luck, boys. You know.
I mean, off rip, I'll take Prescott, Hurts.
Not take Prescott over Rusty right now.
Yeah, I would. Why wouldn't I?
I would.
A, he's hurt as hell. B, his psyche's all over the place. No, thank you.
Dak's hurt?
No, how many times has he been hurt? He's not the athlete he's been. Rusty's a better athlete.
I mean, okay, so take away the year where he almost lost a foot, and otherwise he's been pretty damn healthy. That's one thing I'll give Dak Prescott is his health and his ability to stay on the field.
I'll take Coopins.
That doesn't mean he's not playing hurt, but whatever.
I'll take Coopins. I'll take Jordan Love. I'll take.
You're taking Jordan Love on potential. I respect that.
No, I mean, I going into 2024, I think Jordan Love's the better quarterback.
Sure.
2024 Jordan Love versus 2024 Russell Wilson. I think Jordan Love's better. I think Jared Goff's better.
It's very possible.
Stop it. Jared, get the fuck out of here.
But hold on. You say get the fuck out of here. All he did was lead him to a fucking NFC title game.
He got carried.
I like Jared Goff.
Inferior ass.
I don't want carried though.
And Russell Wilson got carried to the Super Bowl by Seattle's defense. We don't want to have that conversation either.
I've had that conversation and preached that way when he was a younger player, and he improved.
This is true. He did.
Thank you.
One person wants to have that conversation. Nobody else does.
Well, now he can get carried by another defense.
That's a good point.
Perfect. He didn't have that.
To Mike's point,
he can get carried to the fucking bench when he gets benched by week 5.
To Mike's point, he is probably right on the fact that Russell Wilson is probably close to a game manager / maybe good player. But the value of the deal is what makes this work. That's all it is.
You know, Peyton Manning did that for the Broncos.
It's a win-win.
Pretty well.
It's a win-win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, can I get my answer now? Hey, can I get my answer real quick, Jim?
EJ, give your answer. Jim, can we get EJ's answer?
What answer are you giving?
What question did we even ask?
I think I lost the question.
EJ, I think the question was, do you like Russell Wilson?
Trades.
Love Russell Wilson.
Did you not give your?
I guess you did. No. We went to Mike. We went to a deep dive after that.
We did. All right. What's your?
It is Joe Mixon for myriad reasons. Number one, quality running back.
I agreed with EJ again.
There you go. But also, what did they give up? A 7th round pick? That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
That's why it's the best move.
Well, the Bengals were going to cut him.
They could have got him for free.
Yeah. The Bengals
Cincinnati already announced they were going to cut him.
They probably wanted to time up.
I could see giving up the 7th pick as a guarantee to nail him because, listen, the Texans are recognizing that the iron is hot. They're already the de facto favorite in the South, and they want to take a shot to go further. I can't blame them.
I was going to say, if he gets out in the free
best
agency, they may not be able to land him.
Hold on. Kyle, Mr. Jaguars, we're there now? Going to next year, the Texans are the favorite?
No, because the draft still has to happen, and some things could happen to make me change my mind. But
Colts,
as we're sitting here today,
okay,
that's all we can evaluate. Yeah, I mean, I think Mixon in the short term, I think is the best trade. I think the potential of the long term, especially given what you gave up for him, is Justin Fields. Because you potentially, you potentially have a guy that in 3 weeks, anywhere between 3 weeks and like 2 years, as we've covered the gamut here, you have a guy that you can turn this team over to potentially, and you got him for even less than what the Texans gave up to get Joe Mixon. So yeah, I think those two are the best. And to kind of start wrapping things up here, and EJ, will start with you. what team has had the best offseason so far? And if you say anybody but the Dallas Cowboys, you're wrong. Who's had the worst offseason so far?
The Giants? No.
Hey, we're going with the second worst.
Yeah, like kind of like the last one, like with Fields was the best trade. Honestly, the Cowboys is the correct answer for worst offseason. Who's had the best and who's had the second worst?
No, I think the Steelers, honestly, the best one, just because they have actual viable options going forward. Yeah, a quarterback. You got a team that went to the playoffs with the worst quarterback situation in the league last year. Still won 10-7. Okay, so you bring in a guy that might still have something in the tank left. Another guy who could be the future, could be a potential top 12 guy in the league if things play out. They have options for once, post Big Ben, and they so at least they have options moving forward. And to me, that's a good place to be at because they're not bad enough to get into the top 5, top 10 in the draft because they do pretty well. So this is the next best thing is to get into guys that have something left in the tank at least. We'll see.
Very good, Mikey.
We're going with the best offseason.
Mm-hmm.
EJ, did you give a second worst?
Second worst. Second worst. Jeez. Cowboys second worst too. Also, first and second worst. Fuck it.
There you go. I'll accept that.
Because fuck y'all.
Homer.
Best and second worst.
Best offseason. I'm going to go with the team that Ernest has already anointed as the favorites to win the NFC next year, the Atlanta Falcons.
Me? I didn't say that.
Adding Rondale Moore, adding obviously Coupons to go with the pieces that they have there, playing in a division that is wide open as the NFC South. I like the pieces that they've added. Second worst. This one's gonna probably not surprise anybody because they had to tear it down to potentially start the rebuild. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. When 3 of the 6 people on this panel could be the 4, 5, and 6 wide receivers of that team going into the 2024 season, that's a problem. Your new number 1 wide receiver is a guy who either couldn't stay healthy, got lost on the field, or didn't know what routes he was running at some point in the season last year in Quentin Johnson. But the salary cap problems that they're into, obviously you had to tear it down to rebuild it. You had to restructure Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and guys like that. But I feel like they're 2 drafts away from being where they want to be. So just from the sheer loss and lack of additions, it's Eckler, it's Keenan Allen, it's Mike Williams, it's some other pieces on the defensive side. They're kind of just really down to the bare bones right now. So and especially when you're playing in a division with Patrick LaVon Mahomes II and what the Chiefs are doing, it makes your bad off seasons look worse because you still got to have to play them twice.
That's fair. Matt?
For best, I'm going to go with the Texans. I feel like the things that they've done to make their defense even stronger is pretty impressive. The addition of Mixon to what was already a very fun offense, I think, is going to be important. And they did extend their offensive coordinator, so it certainly helps as well. Second worst, I was going to say the Chargers, and EJ, great answer. Cowboys 2 times is pretty on brand there.
Homer.
So I would say, to me, and we talked about it during the retirements, the Rams have had a tough offseason. You're taking away a big piece of that defense that was one of the reasons why they stayed competitive. And again, matter of time before the bubblegum holding Stafford's shoulder on dissolves and he finally loses that arm. So I think that the Rams are going to be in for a long season.
Oh, come on, Matt. They got Jimmy Grops. Let's go.
Why, Matt, you might call the first Falcons number 1 seed next year in NFC. Boom.
There, we heard it. Kyle, best and second worst.
As for second worst, and I would argue maybe even worse because doing nothing means you didn't necessarily lose a lot. And the Miami Dolphins have lost a shit ton on their defense. Baker at the linebacker spot. Xavier Howard is gone. Christian Wilkins is a loss. I tried to tell you people I was Lucifer Morningstar before the show came out when I was writing for the Dolphins Wire.
Trying to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
No, don't ding that. That doesn't count. I'm not giving the editor of that thing now any credit. Forget that, dude. I'm not even mentioning his name. I may sound crabby for that reason, but that's a whole other conversation. The punchline is the best. Listen, I love the pick of the Texans as having the best offseason. However,
yes,
I think also the ability to keep solid guys on your roster while also upgrading, while also preparing yourself for the future of players that might be leaving after the season to put yourself in a position to potentially three-peat. I got the Chiefs offseason. I love them extending Chris Jones, Hollywood Brown, bringing in a receiver, coming in as a receiver. They're going to continue to develop Rashee Rice. He's going to be a big part of that offense. Hollywood Brown coming in. He might be the guy best at catching the football other than Rashee Rice. So, yeah, for my money overall, as far as keeping great players, L'Jarius Sneed may be forced to play on the cap. I even put together potential trade scenarios for the Jacksonville Jaguars to try to get Sneed on Jaguar Report. Bing! Thank you, Jim. But that didn't happen. If you get L'Jarius Sneed to play on that cap, or excuse me, on that franchise tag, that's a supreme victory for the Chiefs, in my opinion.
Very good, Shawn.
Well, yeah, and I was going to make the point that, like, sometimes not doing anything is better than falling backwards. And for me, the second worst is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos
the Denver Broncos.
They have gone backwards. Like, not only have they lost guys like Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy and Justin Simmons and former Pro Bowlers, and they're starting to just release talent, for money and to release but the only signings that I have on my list that I've seen for the Denver Broncos are safety Brandon Jones, an edge rusher Malcolm Roach, and a linebacker Cody Barton. Those are the only three signings that we've added. They did manage to re-sign Will Lutz. So,
hey,
on you guys.
That's right.
About that, right?
Let's go.
And they kept Adam Troutman to just keep that tight end room more questionable than anything else. Like, let's not pick one. Let's just keep down. So, now they got two tight ends with no one to throw it to them. So, I would say the Broncos Sean Payton and what he's got going on out there, it just looks confused.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Couldn't.
Yeah, that's why here. A real nice fella.
You thought Kevin James starring as Sean Payton in a film was his low. Yeah. No, he's got some left in the tank.
That team just, like, I looked at and it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're not even like it's less than not trying. You're trying and failing. Like, that's what you're doing. So I would argue they're probably doing worse than the Dallas Cowboys.
Can I throw out the conspiracy theory that since all of this is to recover from the mess that Nathaniel Hackett made, that we've confirmed that is the worst offseason leading into this worst offseason?
I suppose that could be made, I was gonna probably throw the Texans out there as my best, but seeing as how that was kind of agreed upon before. The other finalists, by the way, the Atlanta Falcons were one of my finalists. I think they made a lot of great offseason upgrades. Detroit Lions have done a lot for themselves, and including the coaching room, securing and locking up some key guys. Unfortunately, the Washington Commanders have also, but it's not much of an upgrade when you don't have anything to start with. So it's hard to say that. I'm going to give it to the Birds. Because why the heck not?
Homer.
There you go. Play him. I am a homer. Actually, if you truly know me, you'll know that I speak so pessimistically about the city of Philadelphia and our sports. So, like the hope is there, but I think bringing back Gardner Johnson, it was not a move that I would have much rather had some other guys, only because I'm petty and the things he said hurt my feelings, and F that guy. but I'm glad to have him back because it's a lot better than everything we've been operating with.
Well, that was quick.
And to add, and you lose a guy like Fletcher Cox, but the defensive tackle position is something we had a lot of strength in, and you go out and you get, you get one of the better pass rushers in the league from the New York Jets, and you. I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of upgrades at a lot of positions we needed. And then to address the safety position, like, again, and say, you know what, look, we understand, like, we messed up. Like something went wrong. But let's not forget, this team is a full season removed from being in a Super Bowl without a ton of pieces missing. And I don't think the loss of Kelsey is that big of a fall off to Juergens. It is as far as a leader, but there's a lot of guys that can take over that role. And I think Gardner Johnson can do that on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's going to bring an attitude to that defense. And why not? I mean, I think if I was going to list 6 or 7 of my top teams, the Eagles are definitely in it. And I don't think there's a lot of difference between them. So, yeah, give me the Birds. And let's get back there and at least we're not Dallas.
By the way, Shawn, has Matt blocked you on Twitter yet? Just
Blocked me? No. I don't. It's X now. In case you haven't paid attention.
No, it's Twitter. You don't know your brother. It's Twitter. You got to talk to your brother about that. It's Twitter.
In this house,
it's tweeting again.
I mean,
we never
we're
stop.
not Xing.
If you want to tell people publicly that you're on X, Shawn, that's your choice.
I don't want to say I'm on X. I'm a teacher. I can't say
you can give it to you. For that.
Stop putting words in my mouth.
Well, you also live in a state that doesn't really have laws, so
it's true.
Really?
In fact, they just handed me another gun just now.
I'll say like a teacher.
Now. I don't even know what to do with them.
A teacher being on ecstasy is probably like the least of their problems. At least they're not recommending vaccines.
Something they'll overlook.
We can be on it. We just can't tell the kids to get on it.
Yeah,
can't do that.
Ecstasy, fine. Tell him to read certain books. Don't do that.
Don't
tell him to say certain words. Don't do that. Tell him to take.
Don't say gay.
Don't. Anyway, best off season. I'm gonna lean Steelers because I think again for me. The position that was the biggest problem to a team that made it to the playoffs in at very least arguably the best division in football dramatically upgraded their room in multiple levels. So whether you think it's Russell Wilson, whether you think it's Justin Fields, either way that room got a whole hell of a lot better. And they don't have a terrible offensive coordinator anymore going into the season. So like the amount of addition, even also by subtraction, because you don't have Kenny Pickett there anymore, and you don't have Mason Rudolph there anymore. Stop that. I think is cannot really be measured even at this point. And in terms of second worst, because Jesus, good God, there is no team that's had it worse.
How about them Cowboys?
But the second worst to me is the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I don't know if they're just fully committing to like multiple seasons of like number one or number two draft picks.
There's definitely confusion.
But like you lose Marquise Brown in free agency. You trade another wide receiver to bring in Desmond Ridder because is he really going to be the guy if Kyler Murray goes down? I mean, you look over the Cardinals roster.
When Kyler Murray goes.
Well, yeah, when. But like
Rondale Moore had to want out, right? Like there had to have been like a get me out of here, right?
Please get me out. But like, just go ahead and search Google search Arizona Cardinals roster.
I don't want my phone to know that I searced for the Arizona
with
Cardinals.
the exception of James Conner. I would love to know if 5 other guys on that team because it's a whole shitload of nobody. And man, it's
they have a good tight
end. How bad that team is. So I'll give them the second worst.
Is Buda Baker still there?
Against his will.
How is he still there?
He's the only one that I would know.
That everyone was waiting to like get out.
Yeah, he's still there.
Still there?
He's still there.
He's the only other. I think he's the only other one that I know.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Jim. I think you know, I'm sticking with my Denver, but the Cardinals are definitely confused.
Real bad. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. We'll be back. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with the we have talking about some college football stuff like at the beginning of April. We should hopefully have at least one more show coming out in April. But if not, we will definitely have more content coming at you in May. But real quick, because this actually went longer than I thought. That's what she said. Let's go around the room. Just give them a place where they can follow you to keep track of what you're doing. EJ, we'll start with you.
EJ7 on Twitter/X just to help Shawn out here.
Stop it with the X. Stop it.
Well, I'm your brother. To your brother. Come on.
Yeah, I told him to stop it too.
That's why he's the evil twin.
There's a podcast, all podcast catchers. And that's all I got for you.
You guys got to move faster than the possum out here in my yard.
Mikey B.
Oh shit.
He's just playing.
Follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. Listen to me talk Mount Rushmore on the Mount.
Shawn, real quick in case the possum gets you.
It's horrifying. You can find me down here in Tampa Bay in the Sunshine State, but we've renamed it. We're at Shawnshine State.
There we go.
Here on Twitter when we do what tweeting we do, and you can always check me out there. And go Birds.
There you go. Ugh, gross. Student of the game, Kyle Nash.
Honor, joy, and privilege, gentlemen, at the SOTG on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. The Student of the Game on Facebook. Writing with the 3-Point Conversion, Jaguar Report, and Black and Gold Banneret, as well as the Student of the Game podcast, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and the Duval Dive with Travis Holmes at BigCatCountry.com, Friday at 11.
There you go, Matt.
And you can follow me at Teaching to the Choir across all platforms. Listen to me on Mondays on the Maximize Monday podcast, Tuesdays and Thursdays on 3CT.
Very good. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports, but make sure you are connected to the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, at least while it's still there. You can get us on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are also, our merchandise is over at tpublic.com. Make sure you click subscribe on the YouTube channel and all your podcast platforms, rate and review where possible. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.